Moment from now, candidates who set the Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education, that is KCSE exams in March and April, are expected to get their results today, nearly 6 months later than the traditional announcement date of late December. The Education Cabinet Secretary, Professor George Magoha, has presented that report to President Uhuru Kenyatta this morning and is expected to release the results any moment on the very day that schools have reopened for the third term of the 2020 academic year. The 751,150 candidates registered for the 2020 KCSE exams, with the ministry stating that the COVID-19 pandemic could have played a huge role in creating side challenges that affected a high number of students who sat for the exams, whether in hospitals or in other facilities that were not the original centers for the examinations. Layla Mohammed is now joining us live with more. Layla, good to see you. What are some of the key issues that will be sticking out in the release of these exams?
Well, Zainab, the man of the hour, Professor George Magoha, is within the precincts of Mtihani House. Earlier in the morning, he presented that document, a full report, to President Uhuru Kenyatta. As tradition dictates, the two gentlemen went through that document, him briefing his leader in terms of the results of 2020 examinations. There's the key issues that probably might come off this exams was the whole issue around cheating and the attempts to cheat. We know that about 14 persons were taken to various facilities and being taken through the whole issue of going through the issues of being taken care of, cheating allegations. But COVID-19 really played a big role in these examinations being done in the middle of March to April and being taken care of and being released in May. Remember, the traditional date of October and December was the norm, but COVID-19 taking away those students for more than 7 months, them having to come back to school in September of 2020. And this was a concern for many parents who had believed that their children were not fully ready, having missed an entire 2 terms away from the schooling. However, CS Magoha had clearly expressed concern and said that their marking would be humane to undertake in terms of ensuring that the children pass according to how they have understood those questions. We also know that there was insecurity in certain parts of the country, in Baringo, for example, in Tiati, all the way in the cross of the border to Turkana area. So there are those students who did not necessarily go to do their exams in the schools that they was expected to, because of the whole issue of insecurity. However, also we know that last year the issue of the flooding of lakes on the floor of the Rift Valley and some parts of Lake Victoria also caused a big concern in terms of students not being able to do their exams. We also are aware that in 2020 examinations, quite a number of students did the examinations in hospitals after delivering due to them being pregnant over the time of 2020. Remember, some of these children were victims of gender-based violence. Those who want to hurt them were people they knew and persons who were very close to their communities. So the ministry, especially CS Magoha, was very categorical in terms of letting these children know that once they are able to deliver, they were agreed upon to continue with their examinations. We also know that in the 2020 KCPE examinations, the public school system performed pretty well, and this was much to the detriment of the private school sector. They complained that they did really a good job in terms of putting their students together. After the 7 months away, using digital learning, others were asked to use the radio systems. Others used social media platforms like WhatsApp and Zoom. And most of the public school systems were failing right from the regions across the northern border of Kenya and other countries, the driest parts of this country, those that had been flooded. So majority of the students who are from the public school system. We'll be hoping that the KCPE examinations will be replicated in the KCSE 2020. However, those will not be factual until that particular moment when CS Magoha announces who has become the top student. Last year we saw a lot of girls performing really well in subjects that are mostly arts and languages, and the boys really taking a lead in the sciences and the mathematics era. These examinations will be quite either different or similar to what happened last year. So Zainab, there is much more to talk about. Over 2 million candidates start the examination for both KCPE and KCSE. 751,000 plus of them did KCSE 2020 in this academic year. Remember, when he released the KCPE exams, Professor George Magoha was very keen to have another examination at the end of 2021. This will be quite a packed academic year. Remember also, the third term of the 2020 academic year begins this particular Monday, the 10th of May 2021. So there's a lot in the academic and the education sector this afternoon, but the main event ideally should be Professor George Magoha announcing who has done what, how have our children performed in terms of statistics, how have the boys performed over the girls, which regions have done well. Remember, the statistics of the KCPE also graded how many children have done these exams in the time that there was needed, or over or above age that is required of 18 years of age. So those are some of the key issues and much more, Zainab, that we'll be looking into as we await Professor Magoha just from his meeting with the leadership here at Mtihani House. As you can see, the leadership of the Ministry of Education and TSC officials are here in a few minutes. Ideally, we should be able to start broadcasting live those results as they are being relayed by the CS.
All right, thanks, Leila, for that. Leila at Mtihani House, she says that Professor George Magoha is already there, so it's just a matter of moments before we head back to Leila at Mtihani House to get the results of the KCSE exams.